News every 15 minutes, weather every 10, and sports twice an hour.
Newstalk KGVO, AM 1290 and 101.5 FM.
You're listening to Montana Morning with Peter Christian.
A plea to the Missoula City Council. Good morning, everyone. It's Montana Morning. It's Tuesday, March 8th, 2016. Skies partly cloudy. We've got 35 degrees in Missoula right now. 1 to 3 inches of snow are possible up on some of the mountain passes today, Lost Trail and Lolos particularly. And right now it's Interstate 90 from Missoula to Drummond is bare and wet. Reporting conditions there. Our newscast this morning sponsored by Kootenai Creek Village, the maintenance-free active adult community at Stevensville for the best of Western Montana living. At last night's Missoula City Council meeting, longtime employee at Mountain Water Company Michelle Halley said the city's condemnation takeover would harm the local employees of the company.
There isn't enough money to pay for the water system and pay for the employees' jobs, wages, and benefits that are already built into our current water rates. We offered a solution that would make us whole. It allows us to keep our jobs and benefits, and the city council declined.
Halley pleaded with the council to put the issue of continuing this very expensive court case to a public vote.
If you can't afford to buy a water system, you can't afford to keep the employees, you shouldn't be running a water system. I please beg you to back out of this and put this up to a vote.
Councilman Harlan Wells will ask the council for permission to put the matter before the public for a vote. Individuals and organizations seeking to upend Montana's campaign contribution limits say the state cannot justify the caps after multiple court decisions raise the standard. Montana Department of Justice attorneys say the limits prevent corruption as defined by the U.S. Supreme Court's Citizens United ruling. The two sides asked a judge last Friday to decide whether the limits are constitutional without a trial. A ruling by U.S. District Judge Charles Lovell could come before the state's June 7th primary elections. Lovell's previous ruling against the caps resulted in $500,000 donated to Republican candidate Rick Hill in the 2010 gubernatorial campaign against the eventual winner, Steve Bullock. The Ninth U.S. Circuit Court reinstated the limits and ordered Lovell to re-examine the issue. Washington's legislature has passed a bill that would allow the state's largest utility to create a fund to pay for the eventual shutdown of 2 coal-fired electricity plants in Montana. In a devastating report released just prior to the vote, Director of Resource Planning Analysis with the Institute for Energy Economics, David Schisler, told the legislature in Washington that the Colstrip units would eventually have to be decommissioned.
Our conclusion is that market and economic forces are relentlessly, you might say inexorably, against the continued operation of Colstrip 1 and 2. We believe that retirement is inevitable.
Schisler says Colstrip Units 3 and 4 are also a bad investment for the future.
We also believe they should be looking at possible alternatives to Colstrip Unit 3 and reevaluating the financial viability of all of Colstrip, including Unit 4, that the same market and economic forces that are hurting the viability of Units 1 and 2 are also affecting Unit 3 and 4.
The bill would let Puget Sound Energy put money aside to cover future decommissioning and remediation costs of the power plants at Colstrip. If they're closed after the year 2023, the utility owns half of Colstrip Units 1 and 2. Flathead County prosecutors in the case against a man accused of making online threats to schools and religious leaders have agreed to defer prosecution. According to the deferred prosecution notice filed Wednesday, if 29-year-old David Lenio is, quote, a law-abiding citizen, end quote, for the next 2 years, his case will be dismissed. Lenio was facing 1 charge of felony intimidation. Lenio was arrested near Whitefish in February of 2015 after authorities were alerted to messages he allegedly made on Twitter threatening school children and Jewish people. Police say they found 2 rifles in Lenio's apartment and a pistol in his vehicle. He was released on his own recognizance in July and has been living with his parents in Michigan. Republican gubernatorial candidate Greg Gianforte announced yesterday his running mate would be Phillips County Commissioner and Highline rancher Leslie Robinson.
Leslie is a true salt-of-the-earth public servant. I'm looking forward to Leslie playing a vital role in our administration. You'd be hard-pressed to find a stronger advocate for rural Montana.
Gianforte explained why he selected Robinson. He stated she provides a connection to agriculture, the state's #1 export, and that she can provide, quote, a vital link, end quote, between state and local government because of her history as a county commissioner.
Folks in rural Montana feel that they've been forgotten or simply ignored. Residing in and serving as County Commissioner in rural Montana has taught me that we have unique challenges. I'm honored to join Greg Gianforte's team and look forward to fighting for rural Montana as the next Lieutenant Governor.
Along with the announcement, the campaign released a bio for Robinson. You can see that on our website at newstalkkgvo.com. Missoula County Public Schools is in the hiring process of filling different administrative positions at several schools across town. Superintendent Mark Thane announced last week that Lisa Hendricks will serve as the principal at C.S. Porter Middle School in the 2016 and 17 school year, but one position is still vacant.
For a principal for Hellgate High School to begin on July 1st, 2016. We, as was the case with all administrative openings, did post the position for consideration of in-district transfers, and there were no requests for transfers. So given that, on Friday we did post the position as open to the public.
Thane said the job is now open to the public regionally as well as nationwide and will remain open until March 25th.
We intend to screen the following week and hopefully interview the week of April 11th. We actually will set up a scoring rubric and we'll score all applications so that we are as objective as possible. Then we'll invite the top candidate from that scoring rubric to come interview, and we'll do our appropriate background checks and such at that time also.
As of yesterday, Thane said there were no applications received. The Montana Department of Transportation says some highway projects could be put on hold because its revenue is expected to fall $25 million short of budget projects. The Daily Interlake reports Department Director Mike Tooley said the budget took a hit from a drop in trucking fees and state fuel tax revenue. Together, those sources make up about 34% of the department's income. Tooley says the department's reevaluating lower priority projects to make up for the missing money. Projects along the interstate highway system will be given top priority, followed by state highways and then secondary state roads. He says projects financed mostly by federal money, like Kalispell's U.S. Highway 93 bypass, will not be affected. And police say there was no obvious motive in the church parking lot shooting of an Idaho pastor who led the Prayer to Weekend campaign rally for Republican presidential candidate Ted Cruz. A search continued for the suspect, a man with a history of mental illness who authorities say had attended services at the church before opening fire. Officials say Altar Church pastor Tim Remington, who has counseled drug addicts and inmates in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, was shot as many as 6 times Sunday, including in the head and lung, but he is expected to survive. The Coeur d'Alene Police Department is looking for a 30-year-old local resident, Kyle Odom, a decorated former Marine who should be considered armed and dangerous. Authorities say Odom was not a parishioner and had no known connection to the church. Our news talk time now is 6:12.
Newstalk, KGVO.
Missoula's official weather station.
Several waves of moisture will impact the area this week, and that means unsettled weather with the daily threat of showers. Today's chance is relatively small. Isolated showers pop up during the afternoon with highs in the upper 40s. I'm meteorologist Brooke Foster for KECI 13.